Hi, Ivana. Could you just introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes. Hello, my name is Ivana Davila. Would you like a full introduction?
Yes, please.
Perfect. I am from Venezuela. I came to the US in 2016. We are political asylees, but I was able to settle in lovely Indiana. I went to study. I graduated from Taylor University, and now I am working in Washington, D.C. as a paralegal for immigration law.
Thank you so much for being available today. So what was life like before you had to leave home?
Goodness. It was very cozy for what I remember for sure. My family has always been very oriented towards or extended family per se. So I remember a lot of huge gatherings, amazing food, amazing weather, very warm. And I grew up the 14 years in the same city, so I have very, very nice fond memories of back then.
So why did you have to leave home?
Yes. So both of my parents, they are nurses, but they joined some sort of union that we have back then, and the political situation it started getting very complicated in the country. And my parents, because they were in this union and they were kind of leading the union, started speaking and being very public about all the issues that the healthcare system and just nurses and doctors were experiencing in our home state. And it started as going to the newspaper, and then it turned into going to the broadcast news. And it became this like very famous thing, and of course that put them in sort of danger, and they started being just persecuted because of their political beliefs and this whole sort of activism that they were doing for a couple years.
So based on that, like, what was your journey to the US like? Like, how did you end up coming to the US?
Yes, so we had visited the US a couple times on a tourist visa. So I already had an idea of I just knew Florida and Miami pretty much. So that was my idea of the US. And it just so happened that I started noticing some changes. Like we wouldn't go out that much. They wouldn't let me go out with friends, like these sort of things. And then eventually they just told me, hey, we have to go to the US for a little bit. We don't know how that's gonna be like, but we just need to go in a month. And I was like, okay, we'll get everything ready. But they were still doing their job. I was still in school. So it was still really odd to me how this whole process was gonna look like. So sort of like the week before we started packing and putting things in pretty much just one huge suitcase. And then we yeah, put as much things that we were able to fit. And I just remember my parents carrying like a huge binder with documents. And I was just really confused because we had never done that to go to vacations, right? And we said goodbye to family, but it felt like really long goodbye. So the whole process was just like very odd to me. And we fly to the capital. From there, we flew to the international airport in Miami. And once we are approaching, um, just that immigration check-in that you do when you like enter the country, they're like, "Oh, excuse me, you have to come with us." And we were taken to these like back rooms in the airport, sort of, where they have a more deep uh immigration check-in pretty much. And then they were like, yeah, you guys are carrying a lot for people that are just visiting as tourists for like a couple weeks. What's up with that, pretty much? And that's where they split my parents, and I just stuck with my mom. And they just told their whole story pretty much. And they conduct this credible fear interviews. That's what they're called. And then that was the first time that I was hearing about like everything that my parents went through and why we were actually like pretty much fleeing the country. Um, yeah, after that, my mom and I were sent to a immigration facility center in Texas. My understanding is that it's not open. It was closed after that, but it might reopen soon. And we were there for a month while my dad stayed in a jail in Miami because we were not a facility for single men. Where I went with my mom was just for women and children. And we were there for a month. We were just working things out with the immigration case, and then we went to Indiana, pretty much.
Thank you for sharing that. What was the hardest thing for like moving and starting over in the US?
Oh, I think it was definitely the uncertainty. When we came, my family, like, I mean, we didn't know English, right? And I think I was not that scared of it because my idea was that we were gonna be in Florida, right? So it was gonna be fine. But then we ended up going to Indiana, where it's completely different. So I think it was just that uncertainty of not knowing what's going on, as in I don't know what's gonna happen with my dad, right? Because he was detained for a little bit longer than my mom and I were. So I don't know what's going on with my family. I don't know how starting is gonna look like. I don't understand what people are saying. I don't understand the signs in the streets. Like, I think there was just a lot of confusion for a while, especially going to school, learning all of these things, and especially not knowing how things were gonna look like. Um, so it was definitely that uncertainty, and then missing family, missing people as well.
So what or who helped you through, when you first moved here? What was most helpful for you?
I think the most helpful I think what set us up in a good path was that my family was always very upfront about how hard things were going to be. When once we got to Indiana, we were staying with some extended family. And that was great. We were like incredibly thankful to them. They like sort of opened that door to it. Like, hey, here's a church, here's a grocery shop, we stayed with them for a couple months. So that very basic like intro was incredibly helpful. But just having to understand with my family, like my parents, that it's gonna be really hard, but right now it's just the three of us. And I know that it was a little harder for my parents in the sense that they had built this full life back home, right? And they had to start from zero. And I think looking back on it, I think they were also very scared. And I think they were very honest about it from the start, that we don't know what's going on, we don't know how things are gonna look like. Um, and so I think just having that comfort of all of us being a little scared and confused was very helpful. But the community was also great that we were able to find, I mean, people from church, people from my school that I started going to when I was in high school. It was very understood that immigrant community in the they're very aware of how things are once you're new there, and a lot of people definitely reach out to us, and a lot of people really wanted to help us settle in and help us find furniture, right? Once we moved to our new apartment, and get us rights to the immigration offices that we had, helping my parents find jobs, like all of these sort of things were very, very helpful.
Right. So what are you most proud of since moving here?
Uh, um, I think I'm very proud of the life that we all building here. I think that transition between we are fleeing from something and we have all of this past, right? Especially my parents. I think for a really long time, and I mean that's all it was, and it's always gonna be there. But I think I definitely saw this shift between we're fleeing and we just have to survive and just make it to the end of the month, to this is now our life and it's getting comfortable, and like we get to build things. We don't get to just try to stay alive, but we actually get to flourish and we get to experience all these things and expand. I think I'm really proud of my parents, especially for doing that change. But yeah, I think it was great to realize that we're safe. We get to move on, right? And we get to create.
What do you wish people understood or knew about immigrants or refugees?
Mm. Absolutely. I think we sadly have a very single view of what immigration looks like in the US. I think eh, I mean, truly every history is absolutely different, right? We not only have people from all around the world, which that's already a huge change, but even the single way in which people are able to come into the country, the things that people have to go through to get into the country. I mean, right now I work with people who are detained in ICE centers in Virginia. And we're both immigrants. A couple of us are political asylees as well. But the way that we were able to make it here was completely different. The way that why they're detained is not because they committed any crimes, but it's just because of our current immigration system. And that's just a very, very small scoop of how the whole process looks like. So I really wish that there were more awareness on how diverse this whole process is and about the fact that there is not only one right way of doing things.
Um, so looking back on your journey, to the US and all that has happened, what do you wish was different for you?
I for sure wish I knew English before coming. I think that's the main thing.
Mhm.
That would have saved us a lot of headaches. Um, I think I was really afraid for a really long time. And I mean that's very normal, but I think when we just got here, they were the 2016 elections, right? And I think a lot of during that time, a lot of things were going on, and that sense of that fear and that sense of not belonging really, really like went up exponentially after a couple months. So I wish, I guess I would have understood faster that eventually we all belong, as long as you really work with your community and you make those ties. And yeah, now you're part of this amazing community and we're not going anywhere. So we do belong and we do great things. So I wish I would have just understand that earlier on.
So for anyone watching this interview, what is one action you hope someone takes after hearing your story?
I hope that people just reach out within their communities. Um, I really wish that we start being more. I wish that yeah, I think I just wish we start being more conscious about all of us who are part of our community. Let's see, in our buildings, in our churches, where we work, right? I think I not only me, but I've met a lot of people who had really harsh experiences for being immigrants, for being refugees, for being asylees, and this whole negative stigma around it. So I just hope that it starts conversations. I just hope that you feel a little more comfortable going and talking to your neighbor, perhaps, or just with your coworker that you don't really talk to. I think though that's incredibly important, especially right now, just for our comfort, but because we live together, we're all in this community. And I just hope that that fears or that negative feelings start to go away once we start talking a little bit more.
Um, so for a new immigrant, a new, asylee, a refugee coming to the country, what is one piece of advice that you would give them?
Oh goodness. Um, oh, be yourself. And I feel like it's very overbeat, but for the longest time I was really trying to accommodate and I was really trying to, stand out the least. And I was really working on not having an accent and all of these things. And oh man, it just took so much time and so much effort. And I think I was focusing on the wrong things. I think that all of these differences are truly what makes us special. And I know we hear this over and over, and at the practice, it's really scary to actually be a little bit, odd from the group. But I think it's something that we're embracing more now, and I wish I would have done it before. Um, I really love all of my culture and all the things that have been passed on from my parents that I perhaps didn't learn because I was a kid when I left, right? And those are the things that I really hold dear. So I would definitely say don't be scared, just truly be yourself. Like there is a way of doing it here. There is a way of having that freedom here. To just be yourself, to just not conform to the rule. And I really hope that everybody can be a little more comfortable and not be as afraid as I guess it was for me and my family.
Thank you so much, Ivana, for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you.